Hey, you guys, welcome to Virtual Movie Club with me. No. I'm excited because I'm getting to do the show with my young folks OGs, and my dog decides to bark now. Um, with Gabby and Allie, they're the editors and writers and extraordinary women who work on the Young Folks website. And I wanted to talk to you guys about the movie because I think it's been 3 years since the last movie, since the first Wonder Woman came in, and I remember it was such like a moment because it was the first DC female big screen movie that was going to come out from DC, from Warner Brothers, and I remember it was mostly positive. And I think this time around it's a little bit different because we're this pandemic, and it was released in theaters and on HBO Max, and it's just like a different, it's like a whole new world that we're living in. So I just wanted to take the time and talk to you guys about your thoughts on the movie. So let me know your abbreviated version before we can like delve deeper into it.
Yeah, so I was really excited for the sequel because I really loved the first one. Well, it wasn't perfect, it was definitely entertaining, and I kind of loved just the way they sort of presented Wonder Woman, and of course the romance, and it was really good. Chris Pine and Gal Gadot have really great chemistry, but yeah, so I was actually excited when I found out that Chris Pine was also going to be in a sequel, like by some magical way. I was like, okay, I'm happy. I don't care how this works out. But then you watch the movie, and I was like, I don't really like how they did that. So yeah, I wasn't a big fan. I'm sorry.
Okay. I said that was interesting that you didn't like how he came back, but I'm gonna ask about your thoughts more after Allie tells me her thoughts on the movie.
I thought it was bad. I thought it was really, really sexist, racist, fake feminism in a way to like sell things, and it made me question how much I enjoyed the first one, which I like loved a lot and cried at in theaters, and now like I don't even want to revisit it because I just feel like I'll be like residually mad about how dumb this movie was. So yeah, those are my abridged.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you hated it this much. It's interesting.
Yeah, it's like actually the longer I go from seeing it, I think of more and more things that drive me nuts.
I'm sorry. I see that I'm lagging.
Yeah, like for this one, it really made me sort of question Gal Gadot acting. And I had like that, those were kind of things in the back of my head when I saw the first film, like she's kind of stiff, especially with like a lot of the delivery of her lines. And in this one, it just like was pretty bad, and it made me like rethink about like how the first one was. And so yeah, it's kind of sad how bad this one is, that it kind of negatively affects the first film.
Yeah. I didn't think it was good either, and it was a bummer because I was looking forward to watching it because I do remember enjoying the first one. I didn't like fall in love with it the way that other people did. Can you guys hear me? Because I know that it's like shitty right now.
Yes.
Okay. So not because I don't remember any sort of problems. Well, there were some issues that I had with the first one, but I still enjoyed it a lot more than I enjoyed this one. It just, for me, and we'll get more into this later on, but it just felt like for me, like the pacing was off. It just felt like a slog to get through. There's not enough. Like, I don't really think you even see her as Wonder Woman enough for it to be 2.5 hours. And some things didn't feel like they meshed well together. Like, for example, like the opening, I don't know, like the opening for me, I thought it was like a cool, strong opening. But first of all, I was confused. I was like, wait, did I put on the first movie by accident? But it was actually the sequel. It didn't make like a full circle for me. I was like, why was that an important scene to put in the beginning? How did you guys feel about the opening?
I mean, I think it was like a Chariots of Fire reference. It's like that was kind of what I took from it. Like, I mean, I agree, it didn't really connect with the rest of the film. It sort of felt like this added attachment just to like, I guess, remind you of like her roots, and sort of it does sort of link later in the plot when she talks about the I forgot the other character's name, the previous Amazonian who had come to the Earth, or not Earth, but like to humankind, and she wears that suit. So I guess like it sort of connects there, but I mean, I don't think I don't know. I just felt like they needed an Amazon scene, so they kind of added it in just like for the sake of it.
It's like, and what about you, Allie?
I mean, I liked it more than the second scene, but I thought both openers, because I count the first, I count that scene and the scene in the mall as like two weirdly jointed opening scenes. It's like the studio didn't know which one they actually wanted to go with. And I thought both of them were like, it's like it set the bar really low of what to expect for the rest of the movie. I don't know. It really, it explained everything. It was like, this is going to be messily done. They're going to lay it on thick. And we got what we assumed we would with those two scenes.
I thought the mall scene was a little like it was kind of strange, and I think because we've also seen a lot of '80s stuff like in the last couple years, in which they really did great mall scenes, like action sequences. Like you think of Stranger Things, like that was one of the things that came to mind. But even like most recently, like The Prom has like a scene in the mall, which it's not even the '80s, but it had like the same aesthetic, and even that was like it used the space so much better than what Wonder Woman 84 did here. Yeah. So, yeah.
I enjoyed the mall scene better only because I liked that little moment with that little girl when she's being saved by Diana, and like she gives that little smirk. Like I thought that was cute and special. But there was like such like very few moments where things like made me feel like excited about this movie. And I think like early on we're introduced to, by the way, I saw this movie in 3 sittings, which makes my memory a little bit dodgy. So if I'm forgetting something that you want to talk about, please jump in and like bring it up. But I wanted to talk about the introduction of Barbara, who's played by Kristen Wiig. And I'm always kind of excited for like castings that at first kind of seem kind of weird, but then I'm interested to see like, well, what are they going to bring to this? Because this could be really interesting. They must have done something in their audition for them to get this huge opportunity. And I think they kind of missed the mark. I think they had the opportunity to kind of go a little bit deeper with that. And it's amazing that the movie's already 2.5 hours long, and they didn't really give me much of Barbara as I think that they should. What do you guys think about that?
I don't know why Barbara was in the movie. I mean, I read some Wonder Woman comics. I like Cheetah. But like, so it's not really the character itself. It's just like she didn't fit into this movie at all. Like, I don't really understand, and not even Kristen Wiig's fault. Like, she thinks she did fine. It's just like her whole character just feels so incomplete by the end. Like, you don't really understand her evolution as a villain, and then like the way it just ends. I mean, I don't know. Like, I just felt like you could have just gotten rid of her and kept Pedro Pascal as the main villain, and it would have been like serviceable.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's.
I mean, I have a lot of thoughts about Barbara's characterization, but I liked Kristen Wiig in the role a lot. I think my problem is that I don't think she's a villain. I think she's somebody who kind of realistically held on to something that made her feel better, and I think this is what comes into like the performative feminism bit about the film that drove me nuts, was that we have those opening scenes, right, with like the little girl smiling and being chill with Wonder Woman United, but then Barbara's character is completely like run over. Like the scene where she's beating up her would-be abuser, and the music and tone immediately sets it to being like the moment she goes bad. It's like, no, we should be rooting her on to beat the shit out of this guy. Why is this her Breaking Bad moment? So I just think the film let the character down so dramatically that it affects her overall characterization. But I think for the first half, she's interesting, and I think she is a foil to Wonder Woman, because the whole idea is like, well, Wonder Woman handles these things with, I guess, a bit more grace than Barbara does, though she also loses her mind over like one guy she met for a week. I don't know. I liked Barbara, and I wish they'd done better by her because she is a cool character. But that one scene with the guy, I was so mad.
The guy, it's like, is she fighting back against the homeless guy? I know, it was some other dude, right?
Yeah, like some drunk guy who like he harassed her the first time, and then she got like revenge on him.
He was trying to assault her, and she reasonably fights back, as anybody who gets that amount of power would be. And the music and the tone immediately, it is so deliberately be like this. It's kind of a heinous message to send, especially like young girls who are going to be watching this too. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're a little bit glitchy, Allie. They introduced her character as like this, you know, like this typical character that we see in these comic book movies, where like she's this new employee who kind of like bumbling and weird and quirky because she wears glasses, I guess. And then I feel like, you know, they set her up to be in this position where like she's gonna go on the come up. Hey, Cynthia, she's tuning in. And I just feel like a little bit like, well, can we make this part, you know, deeper? Like, why is she so underappreciated? Is it because she's a woman? Maybe that could have been an interesting story. Like, they're not taking her as seriously working in the Smithsonian because of that. And then like and then she's like tripping on her heels that she can't really walk in. So then like later on when she wishes to be Diana, really she is Cynthia's here. I'm here to bash Wonder Woman 84. Man, nobody liked it. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't like it either, Cynthia, if you're here late. Actually, none of us here liked the movie. None of us here liked the movie. Yeah, so for me, it was like a big letdown. I feel like if you're gonna like use this trope, like do it well. But it's like what Gabby said. Like she could have not been in the movie at all, and it could have ended the same way.
Yeah, basically. And yeah, I mean, even like, and I mean, I don't want to like switch the subject too much, but I've read like a lot of like kind of
is asking could I see it, Raul? I would say wait until it's free. You don't have to pay to see it.
Yeah. Like, you know, it's kind of if the film was hinting at like some sort of like queer relationship between Diana and Barbara, and because just but like I mean it never goes there, and I never when I was watching it, I never thought it was going to go there, but I think it's just sort of like an interesting thing to kind of consider, seeing as like Diana came from an island of women, so we're assuming there is some like queer relationships going on. I mean it has to be, but like I mean yeah, I just thought that was really interesting that they didn't even go there.
That's interesting because that didn't even come to my mind. I did think that we were going to see some sort of friendship. And they do have that scene where they have like that one lunch together or dinner. But that was it. Like, I feel like that was only inserted because she makes a comment about like Barbara's warm personality. And then like later on when they're fighting and Barbara doesn't want to kill Oberyn Martell, Diana just brings up like, but what's the cost of it? Like your warmth, your joy, and it's like, well, but we don't really even know Barbara that well, so like, there's no like emotional weight to that.
Yeah, and the thing with Barbara too, I mean, like Diana, like her first impressions, like she didn't really have time for her. So I almost felt like by default the audience felt like they didn't have time for her. So it was just sort of like this weird vibe set at like the front of the film that you're just like, okay, well, is she just going to be an annoying, and I don't think she was annoying, but like an annoying character, someone who's going to get in the way of what Diana was trying to accomplish. I mean, she does a bit when she ends up giving the stone away, but yeah, I mean, still, I don't know. It was just weird. I was disappointed.
Now. Hey, okay, welcome back. We had a little technical issue. We were leaving off of talking about Barbara, Kristen Wiig's character, also known as Cheetah. Gabby, we were saying something about her. What were we saying?
We were just saying about like how like I think my last comment was something along the lines like Diana seemed like she didn't have time for her, so it's sort of like by default the audience felt like they didn't have time for Barbara. So this was kind of like a sort of feelings, you know, kind of said at the beginning of the film, and you know, I think that, you know, I don't know, like for me it's sort of like I kind of like hooked on to that moment. I was like, okay, so why is Barbara important in this story?
Oh, that's right. And then I was talking about how I thought like the friendship would be a little bit deeper, so that that final scene that we have with Barbara just holds a little bit more emotional weight.
Yeah.
And I just felt like a little bit like lazy. I don't know if it was like the studio or the script or Patty. It's just kind of crazy to think about that with Patty, because I feel like the first one is such like a contrast, well, not a contrast, but it feels different than this movie. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah. Did Patty write this film? I can't recall.
I don't know.
Yeah, sorry.
I think it was her and a couple other people.
Yeah, she did write the screenplay with Jeff Johns and David Callahan. So, yeah, so she definitely had, I mean, I definitely think any kind of story writing is, you know, on Patty Jenkins as well. So.
Yikes. What happened?
Yeah.
What happened? Why is it so?
I mean,
I don't know. This one just feels. It just feels so like flimsy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I mean, I think for one, I was wondering why was it set in '84? Because besides like a few references, I feel like it really could have been set at any time.
I had seen some comments about like because I'm not a student of history at all, but is that around like the Cold War era?
Yeah.
And like the economy, like people's mindset of like wanting more, because that's very much the Max Lord character. Like he can't get enough of whatever it is, like power. So that's another complaint that I had. Like he just keeps saying, "I want more, I want success," and it's just like, okay, now he's like what, Jafar? Like he turns into this Dreamstone, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think like, yeah, you're right. Like, I mean, I think that's when the government really started working with big business, and before they used to be pretty, not completely separate, but more separate, and it came to merge a bit, and then it does touch a bit on the Cold War, but not like enough to, I mean, even make it noticeable. And then, I mean, then there's '84, which is like, you know, the what is it? The who wrote 1984? I'm blanking right now, but like that whole like dystopian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
then like, you know, there's that too that kind of like sort of plays into it, but you don't really see that mentioned or discussed, or even like, I mean, just like even on a metaphorical level, you don't even see it in the film. Like it's, I mean, as Allie wrote in her review, it's really hollow. I really, and then like on a visual note, because I just thought of it, it was way too bright.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. You know, with you, can you hear me all right now? Am I lagging?
You're lagging a bit, but as long as I can hear you, it should be fine.
Okay. Just touching on like how it looked, the brightness. I feel like that was their attempt to make it be like the for me was when they're flying above like the fireworks and everything. And I was like, this is a moment where like they got it. It's like they understood the aesthetic. They made it a little like cartoonish and over the top with like the sincere emotions of the moment. Whereas everything else, I was like, why is it lit like this? Why does it look so bad? How could they spend so much money and it looks so rough around the edges? But yeah, so I agree. It was too bright.
Yeah. And then we're gonna move on to the villain that I had mentioned, Max Lord, played by Pedro Pascal. For some people that I saw on the internet, he was like the best part of the movie for them. How do you guys feel about his character?
He was okay. I mean, I wouldn't say, I don't know if I'd call him the best part of the movie. I don't even think I liked anything in this movie enough to like be that was the best part, but I think he did fine. I just didn't really understand his like sort of wake up call at the end. Like I felt like it kind of came out of nowhere. That was like a moment where I was like, okay, well, you're gonna like redeem him now, and then everything's gonna be okay. But yeah, no, I don't know. It didn't work for me. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the only actor who understood what the tone should be. Like, I think he got the camp of it all, and I liked that aspect of it. I also, along with Barbara's character, didn't think he was really as much of a villain as they wanted him to be. Or maybe I feel like I'm putting too much confidence in them to say that their plan was to make them all very human characters. I think they really thought he was a big bad. But I thought he just came from a place of like real struggle. So, and people who come from real struggle sometimes, like, you know, they're trying to achieve all these dreams. And I don't know. I don't think he totally worked. And I do think his like coming to at the end was way too rushed. But I do think Chris Pine was my favorite part, but he comes close to being the best part.
Yes, Chris Pine, and I want to get into that some more. For Pedro Pascal, I guess I mean, it's like I said before, like they just made him like this oil tycoon that just they kind of try to humanize him with having his son there, and his son just wants to hang out with him, and like the lesson at the end is like, okay, yeah, like I'll just renounce all these wishes. But for me at the end, like it's this like it didn't really feel earned, and I'm really trying not to say it felt unrealistic because it's a comic book movie. But I feel like if you set up these certain rules in this universe, like I'm gonna question some stuff, right? And I just feel like that moment when she uses the lasso to like say that speech through him, it just didn't really feel like, well, why should I buy that everyone is going to renounce their wish just because this chick's telling me to?
I agree. I was just like, there was like nothing. I mean, and I don't know. Maybe we're all cynics after this year, but like that nothing in that speech would have like convinced me. I mean, not to say that I wouldn't renounce my wish or anything, but like, I mean, I don't know. After this year, you see all the shit people have done. Like, you really think they're gonna renounce something that they got that they really desired? No. I mean, people can't even put masks on. Like, I thought they're gonna, you know, give back something they really wanted.
Exactly.
I would have been moved by her because of how she delivered the speech.
I may be remembering with her Barbara.
That too.
We're supposed to believe that they're so moved by her?
I'm sorry? What was that?
Is that what you said? Because sorry, like it cut out. Like, was that the intention? Is that like the audience, like the world is supposed to be so moved by Diana's speech that they feel like they want to renounce their wish?
Yeah, I think Allie said like that just her delivery of the speech was not captivating enough.
No.
Kind of
there was no emotion.
Yeah, like Gal Gadot.
Especially for Barbara, because she renounces her wish too, right?
I don't remember, to be honest. I kind of checked out towards the end of the
Well,
film.
like her ending, like her story arc was so like it ended so abruptly, and then it just left me questioning, like, wait, why would? Because literally right before when Diana's like, I renounce my wish and you have to too, and then Barbara's like, never, and I was like, okay, she's not gonna renounce her wish, and then by the end, she does renounce her wish. Why? It left me
I don't know.
wondering, why would she do that?
I I don't know. I mean, I think there just wasn't enough characterization, and I mean, they just needed to prove that like Diana was so like what she said really like got into the hearts of everyone, even people who have lost themselves, and they were able to kind of she made them go back and find themselves and renounce the wish, I guess. I mean, I think that was what they were going for.
Jermaine, I can't
And
understand what you're saying. You said how Chris Pine came, it wasn't good. Oh, you mean like how he came in the movie? Okay, yes. I wanted to talk about that next. How Diana was the only one that can see him. Yeah, I wanted to talk about that because I have to be very honest. You know, with the whole like weird body swap trope situation, I was like, okay, fine. But again, like I saw this movie in like 3 sittings, so I was just like watching it to get it over with. It wasn't until I went again on the internet when they were talking about how, first of all, if she's wishing him to be back, why couldn't he just come back in like his own body? And second of all, there's the whole problem of like she's kind of sleeping with a guy who is not really her boyfriend. It's like some other dude, but he's not aware. So there's like the whole issue with the you know, consent and stuff, which I thought, you know, for me, honestly, it just got flew over my head because I was just watching it. So I wanted to know if you guys caught that the first time and what are your thoughts about that?
I'm not gonna lie, I kept thinking about like what that guy, the original guy, was like doing or thinking the whole time Steve was in his body. It bothered me. Like I mean, when I realized that like, because when he approached her at that gala or whatever, and it was the original guy, and then his face turns, and I was like, it literally took me like a few minutes to figure out what was happening. I was like, I don't understand that at all. And then I figured it out, and then I was just like, really? It was just strange. I think it was just really too weird for me. I don't know. Like I agree with a lot of the people who brought up like the issue of consent and stuff like that. I mean, it was just really strange, and
Which
I
makes sense because this guy didn't consent for Chris Pine to take over his body.
Yeah, no,
And then I thought about it. I was like, well, because in the story they say like every wish has like a cost to it, and I guess the cost would be for her like, well, she doesn't really have him back. But also in the movie, she says, well, all I see is you. So like for her, it is like her boyfriend is like legit back. So like, what was the cost of that for her? You know what I mean? So it's like a weird setup
well, she was losing her
she
powers.
was losing her
That was the
powers.
cost.
for her.
So like,
Okay,
in order
that's right.
for her to save the world, she had to give up Steve so she can get her powers back and fight. So like that was the issue basically.
Okay, so then in that case, he didn't have to be in somebody else's body. The internet is right.
No, I mean, yeah, I don't think, I mean, I don't know what kind of logic was going on there. If there is like some sort of like mythology associated with the stone in which like you can't bring people up from the dead, like there's only a certain way or whatever. I don't know. But like they could have just gone away with just making him magically appear. Maybe he
Yeah,
could have appeared and no one else saw him but her.
yeah,
I don't know. But like,
yeah.
yeah,
That
I
would make
mean,
sense.
yeah, it was just strange. I wasn't expecting that, and yeah, so
Jermaine agrees. He says
Can you
it
guys hear
didn't
me?
make sense at all. Yes, go ahead, Allie.
No, I was just gonna say there's no logic to it. That's why, like, they could have just. I mean, they make the stone be able to do anything in the world, and they have to have him come back in this random dude. So instead, all we have is Wonder Woman sexually assaulting a random man because there's no consent. there at all. So along with all the other mixed messages there's that. And that's,
Yeah, which
this
I
movie
didn't
is
even think
gross.
about at first, and I feel horrible for saying that because I just like accepted it. But it's so true.
Yeah, that's weird.
So who was the actual guy that she saw at the end? It was the guy that Chris Pine invaded. Age says you're streaming to the group finally. Yeah, we started streaming at 7, Age, but we had some technological issues. Age, tell us your thoughts on Wonder Woman. I don't think that you liked it either. Dang, I wish that I had at least like one person on the panel that liked it to kind of like have like new opinions about like
I don't know,
what
because
they
I feel
liked about it.
like I would really like judge it.
I mean, I don't really know anyone who liked the film.
Yeah.
And I mean, I kind of, you know,
I've seen
I've tried to
people
Twitter.
like it. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I've seen people who like it, but it always comes with the caveat of, I know it has problems, but it has a lot of heart. And I'm just like, where?
Yeah.
Where's the heart in this film?
Like
It's
the
so
first,
cold.
like, I'm sorry, like the first wave of critics who like kind of, oh my God, this is like an emotional journey and but all like the blurby words.
Yeah.
And yeah, now that I think about it, I do remember seeing some critics giving it like, some good ratings.
Yeah.
I just didn't read the reviews.
All I saw that I remember seeing, some people were just saying how much they liked Diana and Steve's scenes together because they have such good chemistry together. I did see some pushback though about a certain aspect of their relationship, how they didn't like how what is it, how he's the one at the end telling her, no, like you have to do the right thing and you have to give me up. Because she's like, this very powerful and Wonder Woman who doesn't need anything. But I don't know, like for me, I feel like her wanting love is the thing that like humanizes her because she is like basically a goddess, right?
Yeah, but
so like
it's
the
just,
relationship stuff didn't really bother me because I feel like you see that in other superhero movies where like in Spidey 2, like Peter is so stressed about like not he's so stressed about being about not being with MJ that he's losing his powers. So like them wanting love is a thing that like humanizes them as these like superheroes.
I guess, but the difference to me is that like Peter Parker has so many other attributes that make him who he is in that film, whereas Wonder Woman in this movie in particular is boiled down to how she feels about a guy and how that affects her powers, her motives, and the ending. And I just think it took what was a really sweet relationship and one of my favorite romantic relationships in a superhero film, and it made it kind of nauseating. Because it's like, I still think they have good chemistry, but again, in other films, it's like, sure, Iron Man loves Pepper Potts, but he has so many other things he's going through too.
Yeah,
You're one-dimensional.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, really focus on her being hung up on a guy for like decades after he died, and like that she's not able to move on. And I mean, yeah, like I love the romance in the first film. Like that's like my main reason for liking it because I think it's just nice to see a good romance, especially like in a big superhero film. Which and it was done well, but here it's just kind of like, yeah, like what Alex said, just kind of dragged on, and I don't know, yeah, it really reduced her to just like lovesick woman.
Yeah, like we learn nothing about what she's been doing since the first film. We get glimpses. It's like we have no reasoning of why she lives where she lives, works where she does. We don't know why she doesn't have any friends. Like it's just amazing to me that so much of what we know about her is hung up on him. And like again, the first film, which was pretty thin to begin with too. So I don't know. It really, again, that's like I boil it down to the performative feminism. It's like you say you're all about it, but you're not actually delivering on the message that you're trying to sell.
That's a good point about like her not having friends or anything, because like she comes from the Amazons where she's part of a community where they know how to build and foster a community of women, right? And then she goes in the first one, she through Steve and through like everyone else, she builds her own community, her own little network of fighters. And so like you kind of think, okay, she has these skills, she knows, she appreciates them, and she is good with people. Like she has a lot of compassion and stuff. So like why isn't she doing that in 84? And I think, yeah, that's like something you're really missing here. And you can't just blame it on her being heartbroken. You know, I mean, that's just ridiculous. Like, people help you through grief, most, you know, for most of the time. So, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Also, they knew each other for like a week. And it's been what, like 60 years?
You know,
like,
when movie time, you know, in movie time, a week is like 5 years.
I know,
like,
and I understand.
Yeah.
And like I give it so much wiggle room just based on the fact that Chris Pine is like objectively beautiful, but I still am so bothered by it. But like I'm bothered about most things, so it's fine.
Said things I did like was referring to the invisible plane, the boomerang crown, her flying, all referring to the comics and the show. Yeah, so it had some of the fan servicey things. I did see a lot of talk about the invisible jet. Yeah, I guess I also just accepted that. Because for me, like, I saw it as like, oh, like, this is like a heightened version of like, you know, when you're going through a breakup and you feel like you're never going to get over it. They're just like showing that to you. Like, she never got over it. Like, she never got over this love, and it stings her still. I don't know. And I feel like, okay, well, fine. I can buy this. Again, because I'm like accepting, like they need to give her some sort of vulnerability because she's also powerful.
Yeah, but so like I'm a big fan of the animated series of like Justice League and stuff, and they were always able to give Superman and Wonder Woman vulnerabilities that made sense. And so I don't know, it's like if a kids show can do it, you'd think a movie with like $200 million could too. I still think, again, look at Iron Man. He's a superhero, and they give him, or that's a hard one to do because he like is human. But like Captain America, right? Superpowered. Thor, superpowered. And in the films that they've done, they've been able to give them vulnerabilities that reach beyond their love interest.
I mean, I thought like the opening scene with the Amazon where she learns the lesson of like, you know, not taking shortcuts, like being honorable and all that stuff. Like, I thought that was a theme that was going to get pulled through the film, and that was going to be linked with her vulnerability, and it isn't at all. I mean, that could have been that. It could have been like
they kind of make it that when she realizes like she can't take the shortcut to have her dead boyfriend come back to life because he's not really here because it's not the truth. Like they try to make it that, but it doesn't really feel. See, that's why the opening for me is so confusing because it's like why? Because it doesn't land at 100% for me.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, I just think that was a lesson I thought was going to be a little bit more obvious. And I mean, because like with these big caper films, like you kind of have to be a little bit more obvious with your messaging. Not that they can't be nuanced at all, but I feel like I just needed to see that connective thread, and I didn't really see it. So, yeah.
Honestly, I would have been fine with no nuance in this film if they just hadn't tried to like pretend they had any message at all. Like if it had been just an entire movie of her lassoing lightning bolts, I would have been thrilled. Like it's the fact that they think they're being clever that drives me nuts.
I want to hear more about this performative feminism. Just in case people watch this in the playback who may not be familiar with that term, I want to go a little bit more deeper into that. And what are your thoughts on what that is and how this movie did that?
Mine? Or
Go ahead.
Both of you.
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. So, like, performative feminism is basically when they are sort of using, like, they're performing sort of, you know, actions that are aligned with feminism. Like, so a lot of, like, the girl power moments You know, those can feel authentic, or they can feel like performative. They could feel fake, like they just added it in just to like be just to kind of have this look or have this feeling, but it's not, you know, genuine. So like you had mentioned this earlier, the mall scene with the little girl who's super excited to see Wonder Woman. I felt that was a little performative. Um, it was like, I mean, she was a cute kid, but it was a little, it was kind of corny and it felt a little forced, you know. And I wasn't quite sure why this girl was so delighted to see her. I mean, I don't know, like if I see some random lady kind of whipping people in a mall, I don't know how delighted I would be, but um, I mean, but like those kind of realistic things aside, though, I felt like it just some of it was really forced, and just the messaging itself, it just didn't feel authentic. Like it didn't feel like it was coming from a real place. It was just like kind of they added it in because they felt like they had to, because this is a woman-led, like a woman superhero movie.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It felt like they were just trying to
I'm
sell.
sorry, Allie, hold on. Felix says, hey guys, I think it's incredible that they took Steve away from Diana twice. She doesn't deserve that, and the freaking villain in all the promos was supposed to be Cheetah. And in the end, she was more of a side character, and Pedro Pascal was the actual villain, although not really. That is what really annoyed me. That is a fair assessment. I feel like they really hyped up Kristen Wiig's Cheetah character. People made fun about, you know, how it looked. Even I did, as I was like, oh, she's a fucking cat from the Cats movie. But that's a fair assessment. Jermaine said the wishing man shouldn't have been a villain. Wonder Woman defeating him by convincing him to change his wish. That's not supposed to be the big battle against the main villain. I agree. That's making some good points. Go ahead, Allie.
Well, that kind of leads into the same thing, you know, the performative feminism bit is that, again, they're trying to sell an idea, and really they're just trying to sell stuff. They're trying to sell, you know, mugs and t-shirts with Wonder Woman stamped on it to give it this idea of being feminist. But then they have characters like Cheetah who are completely underserved by the script as being one of the only other, you know, main female character. And again, that scene where she's attacked by that would-be abuser, and we're supposed to think that her fighting back is bad. So that's performative, because that's not being feminist, that's being reductive. And then there's also, again, Diana is a one-dimensional character, and she needs a guy to tell her why she needs to be a hero. So it's, you can say that you're all about quote-unquote girl power, but when your characters aren't living up to that bar you're setting yourself in marketing, it is completely a failure to the message. And there's just so many scenes, like that scene with the little girl playing soccer in the middle of the road. There's so many things wrong with that sequence that I can barely touch on, as well as others can. But like,
Cairo?
same thing as the girl in the mall. It is so unnecessary.
The girl playing soccer
Yeah.
in Cairo, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, I think that's like one of the more racist moments in the film is the whole Cairo sequence. And I think, like, I mean, you can look at, I think Slate published an article like today or the other day that is worth checking out, because I think that writer kind of explains what made that scene racist very well. Basically, just like its depiction of Middle Eastern and North African culture is reductive, yeah.
And wildly inaccurate. And her point in the article, and it's a really great article by, again, Roxana Hadidi, and she just talks about how this whole movie is about the truth, but everything they're saying about the Middle East is completely false. Like, they're completely, like, they have so many things that are inaccurate, and you would think that, again, a movie with such a budget would be able to do any kind of historical research, and it just shows that they don't care, and they just wanted to put, like, they wanted to other it. It's gross.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and the whole scene too is just not even necessary. Like, you could have, I mean, it was just there to show like the power of the stone, and then have them do like a globe-trotting adventure. But like, you know, I feel like you could have just, I mean, it could have like not been in the film at all, or just been done like elsewhere, like in the States or whatever, or in DC. I mean, I don't know, but like, yeah, it was really bad. Even like I was just sort of a little flabbergasted by the whole scene. I was just like, wait, what did he say?
Yeah.
Like that just it was really bad.
It's shocking, in all honesty.
I feel like Patty will probably have to say something about that.
I'm sorry?
Has Patty said anything about that yet?
No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone has really kind of touched on any of the negative remarks, that like negative criticism that the film has gotten. I mean, I saw like Pedro Pascal like tweet today that he loves the film. So like, yeah, I think they're just kind of not gonna give it that attention. And
Well,
I mean, I don't know.
it'll depend on if anybody actually asks them the questions,
That
which I
too.
doubt they will, because media people don't want to have their access revoked.
Yeah.
But they should.
They should. And I think like, I mean, you're right. I think the whole system is like set up so that everything is like promotional, which is, you know, really unethical, but alas, like people play that game. So I don't know, maybe down the line someone will ask her and see, or you know, but I don't think it's going to be anytime soon while this film is poised to still make money, I guess. I'm not really sure how they're making money with the HBO Max thing, but I mean, besides subscriptions, but yeah.
Also, they're not going to learn anything when you think about the fact that Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins are doing the Cleopatra movie together.
Oh, they are? I didn't even hear about that. Wait,
With
why
her-
is he playing Cleopatra though?
I don't know. I want to look that up because it's like, wasn't she in Africa?
No, yeah, for sure the casting is incorrect. Like, there's... That's
Like
what I'm
they
saying.
couldn't find like an Egyptian
They said
actress.
something about how they looked, which,
Look.
you know, like...
Oh, they look for like
Such...
someone who would be like Cleopatra-esque, but all they could
I feel
find
like-
is Gal.
I feel like what's sad though, it's like people just think Cleopatra looks like Elizabeth Taylor.
Yeah.
I mean, like Hollywood
Mhm.
has sort of like made that image of Cleopatra so synonymous with her that you don't. I mean, you're not even gonna question Gal Gadot right away because you're just like you think right away of Elizabeth Taylor, which again is also it's like a problematic image to have of that real life person. So yeah.
She said, "We were looking for a Macedonian actress that could fit Cleopatra. She wasn't there, and I was very passionate about Cleopatra." That's what Gal said.
Well, she has her own views.
Gal said, "I have friends from across the globe, whether they're Muslim, Christian, or Catholic, or Jewish. People are people, and with me, I want to celebrate the legacy of Cleopatra and honor this amazing historic icon that I admire so much."
That sounds like
Well, she's an idiot.
Scarlett Johansson said.
Both idiots. So, I
Interesting. Okay.
So I do have to admit though, and this was something I admittedly held my tongue back on before when I saw the first one, was like, I didn't really love Gal Gadot as an actress, but I liked the film enough to like kind of let it go. But now I'm seeing that discussion happen more and more, which I'm like a little relieved about, because I mean, I don't know, maybe because this film was so bad, it's hard to elevate that material, but like at the same rate, it was just, she's, I don't know, I feel like she's not the best performer. I mean, she's definitely beautiful and,
very beautiful.
I think it's because she looks like the part so much, but I think her public opinion of her has gone down recently enough where people are a little bit more bold and be like, she's kind of a bad actress.
yeah.
But I think maybe even better if she hadn't released that Imagine video.
Oh
but
my
I think
God.
What?
About
how?
that.
What Imagine video?
You didn't hear about the Imagine video? Like, it came out like at the start of the pandemic.
Oh,
Like,
Where
I have
she
no idea.
had like a bunch of actors like do like Sing Imagine by John Lennon in a video, and it was just to help like raise awareness of I don't know what exactly.
It was supposed to be like inspiring, like we'll all get through this, and it was tone deaf.
Oh
kind
yeah,
of
it was supposed to be like about togetherness, and it just ended up like everyone was just like, no, that's not helping.
We have some comments. Felix said Liz Taylor was the perfect Cleopatra. Why does Hollywood feel the need to remake every classic? Why they do it with Disney and other movies? Why leave them be? They are brilliant. Cynthia says Gal Gadot's acting in the movie was not the same as in the first one. Cynthia says, "Oh my God, the Imagine video was so tone deaf." Man, I am in the dark. I had no idea this happened.
You're lucky. It was bad.
I had no clue.
I got secondhand embarrassment by it.
I couldn't watch the whole thing. Like I think I watched like the first few seconds, and I was like, I can't.
I think I got
this.
to like Jimmy Fallon in the park, and I was like, shut up.
Guys who are watching,
tools.
let us know what you guys want to talk about, because I can't think of anything else that I want to talk about in the movie. We covered Cheetah, Max, Gal Gadot, the performative feminism. Is there anything else?
We talk about how dumb the scenes were with her running.
Running?
Just one thing, right? What was with running scenes?
The what scene?
When she's running after anything. Did you notice how bad it looked?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of it looks bad.
I don't remember, but those
are running.
I
I was just annoyed that it was so bright, and I was like contemplating like adjusting the levels on my TV, but yeah, I don't know. Yeah,
because at the end, the cameo. Did you guys get to see like that mid-credit scene?
That was actually my favorite part. There you go. The mid-credits when you saw the original Wonder Woman, and I'm blanking on her name. Oh God, Linda Carter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool.
That was like a nice touch because they do kind of bring up that question about who the first person was to come, and then it was her, and I was like, oh, that's awesome. Like I think that was cute. It was nice, but yeah, I enjoyed that. And then, but I don't know if it was just because after the movie was over, so maybe I was already in a good mood because it was fun.
Linda Carter. He said, "You mean right after she said goodbye to Chris, and then after she learned how to fly?" Are you referring to the running comment by Allie? I'm not sure.
Maybe that was one of their favorite moments.
Are there any favorite moments or any highlights of this movie that you like at all, Allie and Gabby?
I think I already mentioned mine. I thought the scene with them in the airplane came the closest to capturing the magic that they shared in the first film. So I liked that, and I liked Chris Pine getting to ham it up a little bit and doing the role reversal of now he's the one out of time and out of step. But that was it.
I agree, Cynthia. The movie was all over the place. You mentioned the first movie again, Allie, and I remember earlier I liked when the credit rolled. You mentioned that it kind of like affects your love for the first movie. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, because it makes me think maybe I was just really caught up in the moment in the movie theater, and that like I'm an easy crier in movies, and I think the No Man's Land thing kind of just like ticked off a lot of those cheap tricks that get me. So I think more than anything, it casts the shadow on the first film, because it's kind of like, how could there be such a drop off? And it makes you kind of wonder what really got the first film to work. And it kind of feels like lightning in a bottle. And I'm wondering if it was less the entire talent on board or just something kind of magical.
Cynthia said she cried too in the first movie. It was so good. She felt like a badass. Yeah. There wasn't like a moment, and I feel like one of those badass moments is that she had more moments to show that she was badass. Like when she was training, and then she does like this for the first time. That was a moment. That No Man's Land scene was freaking awesome, and I don't feel like you really get that this time around. And I think you need that in like this action superhero movie, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, I don't know, maybe because it was an origin story, it kind of had like that going for it, even though, I mean, I think a lot of people were a little more familiar with how her background was, but I mean, for me, the real strength was, you know, her and Chris Pine, and I think also too the like historical backdrop was something that we're a lot more familiar with as moviegoers. There's been a lot of World War II films, so we kind of instantly understand the background setting, and like, um, you know, for the most place, we can understand who the characters are and what roles they kind of play. And so I think like overall it just comes together much nicer. I mean, you know, at the end, like you just are more focused on her journey, where I think with like 84, it's like I was trying to figure out these background things that made no sense to me. It was like we've all been saying, it's all over the place. Like I really didn't have a good sense of time or place with this, and there's a literal date in the title, so that just annoyed the hell out of me. So yeah.
The opening was really good, and Kristen Wiig, while underused, was good most of the time. But Pedro Pascal was all over. I guess that's a typo. And considering the work he did for Disney, I'm surprised they didn't make more use of his talent. Oh yeah, because he's in The Mandalorian, which I still need to watch. So no spoilers, please. Jermaine says, I feel the beginning of the movie when she was younger was the best part. After that, it was boring. Yes, I agree. It was like two different movies. It's like the opening for me is like such a freaking, why was this here? Like when you've seen the underappreciated employee become a villain 10 times over, so when it's happening, you don't care, especially when they were all over Wig after she puts the heels on and changed her clothes. I agree. It's like, I guess it's like visual storytelling, because like she makes this wish to be like Diana, and it's just like, okay, so she can walk in like 7-inch heels and puts on a dress, but we don't get to see her enough. We don't get to see enough of Barbara, which I've already said. I mean, I've said it before. I just think that was like a big disappointment. Like I want to see more of that character, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, show. All right. I think we've covered most of everything. So I saw it in pieces, so it's kind of hard for me to remember everything. So if you guys could think about anything else, last minute comments for Allie and Gabby. Comments, Allie and Gabby.
I think I've said everything I have to say at this point between this and
Okay.
my review the other day. I
Yeah,
think it's a bad film.
Yeah.
Oh, wait, no. If you want a good superhero film directed by a woman this year, there's Birds of Prey, there's The Old Guard. There you go.
The Old Guard. So
I am blown away that Birds of Prey came out this year. Like this year has felt like 20 years. I can't even believe that this movie came out in freaking February?
Yeah, that was the last movie I saw in theaters.
Birds of Prey is good. I definitely enjoyed that movie. I want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're watching this later, let us know in the comments how you felt about Wonder Woman 1984, and make sure to check out Allie's review at theyoungfolks.com. She is an amazing and talented writer and editor, and check out Gabby's work as well, who is our editor-in-chief. And thank you guys so much for joining us. I had so much fun. I want to do more of this nerdy lives with you guys. So see you guys later. You guys said Birds of Prey, Old Guard. Yes, they're agreeing with you guys. I feel like I couldn't connect with her because she was barely in it. Yes, I agree. You guys have been so talkative. I love this. All right, so till next time, I'll let you guys know what we're going to do next. But thank you guys again for joining. Bye.